I have a super valuable video for you here today showing you how to set up an automation that will allow you to create email newsletters just by entering a couple of words. This will finally allow you to stay consistent and stop missing out on those valuable customers due to your busy schedule. If you don't know who I am, my name is Garrett Jones. I run an AI automation agency where I help business owners save countless hours through automations just like this one. Just like my client 3Bus Cookies, who I helped automate over 70% of their customer service questions. Now, in this tutorial, I'm going to start by helping you create 2 key documents that you should be using whenever you're doing any sort of marketing. Next, we're going to go into building a no-code automation to help you draft these newsletters on a topic of your choice. Finally, we're going to end by connecting this automation to an email sending platform to ensure that this process is as seamless as possible. Now, you might be wondering, why email newsletters? What makes these so valuable? You might have seen bigger companies like Airbnb, Patagonia, and even Nike using them. But like I said, what makes these so valuable? Now, to put it simply, email newsletters are a great and an extremely cost-effective way to not only nurture and warm new customers, but also increase repeat business through always having new offers and news available to your previous customers. That's why in this video, I'm going to show you an extremely easy 8-step template to allow you to create high-quality email newsletters with almost zero effort required. So to get into it, we first need those 2 key documents that I was talking about earlier. So in this case, I'm going to come over to my Google Drive just to keep it pretty simple. The first document we need, as you can see here, is a brand style guide. So a brand style guide, it just allows your company to maintain a consistent appearance across all your platforms, such as your website, social media platforms, and your email newsletter like we're doing today. So a brand style guide encompasses several different things, from your fonts to your colors and even your logos for your brand. Next, we need to include a company information page. So on this page, I've kind of encompassed a broad category of items, such as the marketing strategy and the plan, which I talked about in my last video. We also need to include the target audience / the buyer persona, so who we're targeting, who your company's targeting. And then second to last, we need the brand values and the core message that your brand is portraying. And then finally, just some general information about your company. Now, these 2 documents don't have to be formatted extremely well. It can just kind of all be thrown on there, since we're just giving the information to an AI to allow it to create these email newsletters for us. So once we have those 2 documents together, we can actually go over to a website called Zapier. Zapier essentially lets us connect different software together to one place to let us automate different workflows like we're doing today. So once you log in, you'll be brought to a homepage that looks like this. We're going to start by selecting a new Zap, which will bring us to a workflow. And from here, we can start building the automation. So the first thing we need to add is a trigger event. So a trigger essentially kicks off the automation. So when this event takes place, it starts the rest automation to create the newsletter that we like. This is the same step that allows you to enter the topic that you like the newsletter to be about. So in this case, I picked to have an email kickstart the automation. So in my case, I'm going to select the Gmail and then choose a trigger event. I'm going to select new mail, which essentially it looks at your mailbox, and whenever a new email pops in, it will start this automation. You can see it cycles through and looks every 15 minutes. So I'm going to select continue, and then I can select the mailbox that I'd like to check. So for me, I'm just going to select my inbox, and then we can select continue and test the trigger. So before we go too much further, I'm going to stop, and you can send yourself a quick email. If you just send your quick self or whatever mailbox you've connected in this step an email with the subject line that is newsletter with a capital N, and then in the body of that email, just briefly type out the topic that you'd like the newsletter to be about. So I've actually gone ahead and done this. I'm just going to select this record. You can select the different records and preview what is actually in the email. So here, email B is the email that I had sent myself with a little You can see body text right there containing the topic of the newsletter. So I can select continue with selected record, and now we'll use that email while we're testing and kind of building out the rest of this automation. So from there, we obviously don't want this automation to run on every single email that you receive. So an easy way to filter out those emails is really just going to the filter tool that is built in by Zapier. So we select filter, and then we want to filter out and use only the emails that contain the subject line of the email. So if you just select, it will pop out and drop down with all the options from the previous step. So we're just going to select and filter by that subject line of the email. So we're going to filter if the subject line exactly matches the word newsletter. Then we want to continue with the rest of the automation. So we can select continue again. And now we need to upload those 2 documents that we created earlier. So we can do this by just typing out Google Doc. And then select find a document. Select continue. I'm going to leave it just to go through all folders. And then the document name, I'm just going to go back and copy these document names from Google Drive. So we're going to do the same thing to find the next document. So once we've done that, it should look something like this. Have 4 steps: the email, the filter, and then finding those 2 documents. So from there, we can actually start making the newsletter. So the newsletter I've broken down into 3 steps. We're first going to generate the body for the email, then we're going to do the subject line, and then finally we're going to generate the preview text. Now, if you've never seen emails like this before, the preview text is that little bit of text that is under the subject line that you can see from your inbox. So both the subject line and the preview text are very important when sending emails like this, as that's the only little bit that the user gets to see before they click on the email. So to generate these 3 items, we're going to first type in chatgpt to get a chatgpt step. The action event is we're going to select a conversation with an assistant. Select continue and go to the configure tab. And then here we can actually prompt the AI to create these steps. So in order to get these messages, you can actually go over to my resource guide, which is going to be linked in the description. There's a free resource guide where I include all the prompts for my videos. So if you just click on this little drop down under the newsletter automation tab, you can go to the email body, and we're going to copy this prompt for the user message. So we just paste this in here. And then optionally, if you've sent newsletters like this before, you can include past examples just to kind of base it off of. I'm not going to do that right now just for the sake of time, but the only thing we need to fill in is you can see this little insert email body tag. So we need to delete this, and then we need to insert the body from the email that we sent previously. So in order to do that, we need to add what is known as a dynamic variable. So we can get that by typing a /, and then it will pop up with all these variables on the left side. So we can select the drop down on the email and then select the body plane. So this is just getting that body of the email, so it has the topic to go off of when making the body for the email or the newsletter. So we're going to scroll down and we can enter the assistant instructions. So this is just saying that you basically are an email marketing expert, kind of giving it a little bit of background as to how it should respond with the prompt. So if you just enter the company name right here, then we can scroll down to the model, and I'm going to select GPT-4o. Just as it's a little bit more powerful than the 4o mini, and we're generating kind of an entire email newsletter. So we kind of want it to be that little bit more powerful than the 4.0 mini. As far as the tools goes, we need the file search in order for it to be able to look at the previous files that we uploaded in the steps above. And then we actually need to add those files into this step as well. So we can just do that by selecting new files, type a / and then select the drop down, and then add the file. It says exists but not shown, so we can do that for the steps 3 and 4, where we're uploading those files. Now we can select continue and then test this step. Alright, so once we've tested this step, we're going to add another. The same, we're going to do ChatGPT. And then again, we're going to do a conversation with the assistant. And then we're basically going to repeat the same process, getting those prompts from the resource page for the subject line. We're going to insert the email body of the newsletter. So that was what was generated in the 5th step. So for the last part of this prompt, we're going to again type the /, select the drop down under the step 5, and then include the full response. So what this does, allows the AI to base the subject line off of the email that's been generated, or the newsletter that's been generated. So then we can kind of repeat the same. We're just going to copy the assistant instructions, paste them here, again enter the company name, that's not in the right block, assistant instructions block, and then the model again is going to be 4.0. The tools, you want to make sure to include the file search, and then upload the same files as before from steps 3 and 4. Now we can select continue and then test this step as well. And then second to last, we're going to include another ChatGPT block to draft the preview text for the email. So again, all these prompts are on the resource page. I'm going to copy this, paste this over here under, well, conversation with the assistant first. And then under the message, we can paste the message prompt. And then in this step, we're actually going to use both the generated newsletter body and the subject line for the newsletter. So you can see the generated subject line we got from step 6, the most recent one. Select the drop down and then do the full response there. And then the same, but for the body of the newsletter, we're going to do the same, but from step 5, which generated the body of the newsletter. You see we're good there. And then we're going to do the assistant instructions the same way. And the model, again, we'll do 4.0, tools, file search, and then upload the same files as before from steps 3 and 4. Alright, so now once we've done these 3 steps of generating the body for the newsletter, the subject line, and the preview text, we're pretty much done with the newsletter part of it. Lastly, we just need to add this newsletter to an email sending platform. So if you have one that you already use for your company, that's great. I'm sure you can connect it here. However, just for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use a website called MailChimp. So you can create a free account here. I believe you can upload up to something like 500 contacts for this. under the free plan. So once you log in, you'll be brought to a home page, and then we're actually going to select this little drop down under the campaigns, and then select all campaigns, and you should have a page that looks like this. You obviously won't have this campaign here yet, but what we can do is go back over to Zapier and add another step. We'll type in MailChimp, and then you can see you'll just be prompted with a page to log in, use your username and your password for MailChimp, and then you'll be brought to a page like this. As far as the action event goes, we're going to select create a campaign, and then the campaign name, this is just internal, so it's this little name that appears inside of your MailChimp platform. That has nothing to do with the email at all, really. It's just an internal name so you can see what it is. So to have them each be unique, so you can kind of tell what the newsletter is about and just tell them apart, I'm going to call it something like newsletter, and then use the variable from the email, the date that the email was sent, just so I can kind of tell them apart. I'm sure you could kind of filter it in other ways, but the audience, you just kind of select here. I just have a general audience. I'm sure you can break it down in other ways like that. But for the email subject, you can remember we generated it in step 6. So we're just going to type a / and get the response from step 6. Select the full response. Preview text is optional, but I would recommend including it for these, like we did in step 7. And then the from name, I'm just going to put my name. From email address. And then content type. So for this purpose, we're going to select HTML. You might have noticed that the response for the newsletter body was formatted a little weirdly, and that's because I prompted the AI to give it back to us in HTML, which allows the newsletter to look really aesthetically pleasing. Maybe it's a little harder to read for us, but the AI knows how to write it in the HTML and then give it back to us in that form. So we're going to do the step 5 response, which you can see a little preview here, the table size, the beginning of the HTML response. So we can do the full response from step 5, select continue, and then test step. So now if we go back over to MailChimp and look under our campaigns, if we refresh this page, you'll see that a new email is populated in here, and you can open it and preview it, edit it, and then have it scheduled to be sent after. So you can stop there. Optionally, I like to add a 9th step to send a follow-up email. Let's say you're busy, you send the newsletter idea and then it's drafted for you, it goes to MailChimp, it's ready to send, but you just forget about it, you get busy with something else. I like to have another step to send a follow-up email, just to remind you that you have a newsletter ready to be edited and scheduled to be sent. So to do this, I'm just going to select the Gmail step. The action event is going to be to send an email, and then I'm going to send it to myself so don't forget about it. You just select one of the emails that you have uploaded. Subject, I might do something like your newsletter is ready. Edit and send it here. And then what we're going to do, just to make it that much easier, is go over to this all campaigns tab and copy the URL and then paste that in the email body. And we can select continue and test that step as well. So now if we go over to my email and refresh, you'll see that we got an email saying that our newsletter is ready, and then it has the URL to take us back to that campaigns page so we can see all our newsletters and edit whichever one has just been created. So that is it for this automation to draft these newsletters on a topic that you enter in the email. To publish this, you can just go up here to the top right and select publish, and then this will be just running in the background. So whenever you receive an email that has the subject line newsletter, it will draft draft the newsletter for you in the background, enter it into MailChimp, and then send you a follow-up email saying that it's ready to be sent. So that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, email me or drop them in the comments below. And yeah, best of luck. I hope you have a good one.